Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it is just Marco here once again, and I am so glad to finally say that I am done doing my list videos for 2025. Uh, I spent an abnormal amount of time, doing these and taking the time to, keep watching stuff from last year. And, Safi still hasn't even done one. And so, she will be doing hers. And, she's not going to be a part of this one. But she did give me her little ranking and her overall take about last year. And so this video is going to be me ranking all the TV shows that I watched and Safi watched in 2025. And I have a list of 11. Overall, I actually think that last year was a pretty good year for TV. There were a couple of very, very good projects that stood out. And they were one of them was so good that I think it's better than every single movie that came out last year. And, that's something. And the second one on the list, too, I would also say is better than every single movie that came out last year. So, TV was better last year. However, I still will stick with I don't know what you would call it, the statement that TV is not TV anymore. They're like glorified miniseries. They're like extended movies. Nothing feels like TV shows anymore because there's not enough episodes and there's not enough seasons. I mean, we just saw, the Malcolm in the Middle reunion special, and they crammed like 20 characters into 4 episodes, and they were not able to properly tell stories because they were confined to this suffocating tiny amount of episodes, for who knows what reason. And, it's gotten pretty bad. But last year, thankfully, there were a couple of shows that were great. And you know what else is funny, guys? The 2 shows that are at number 1 and 2, they both have the most amount of episodes out of all the fictional shows. They both have the highest amount of episodes. And so there you go. If you have more episodes, it automatically increases your chances at good or bad quality. Because that's what TV shows are supposed to be. They are supposed to be long-form storytelling. I don't know who in Hollywood needs to get that message. Long-form storytelling. Not short-form, not 8 to 10 episodes, not 6 episodes, 16 to 24, 7 to 10 seasons. That's what TV is. Okay, so let's get started. First off, this is Safi's ranking. She has The Paper in last place. She just watched 1 episode. She couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. Then she has Goosebumps Season 2. That was a disaster. Then she has King of the Hill Season 14. Then MasterChef Season 15. Then Alien Earth Season 1, which is very high up, even though that was a very poor quality. And then she has Hell's Kitchen Season 23 in second place. And in first place, she has Daredevil Born Again Season 1. And she sent me a little note, and she said, there really is no number 1. So that should speak, that should speak to how low quality, Daredevil Born Again is, that she can't even say like definitively like, yeah, that's number one. It's like, no, the show is so mediocre and trash that she's like, you know what, there is no number one. So that is like probably one of my favorite reviews that Safi has ever done, because it's just such a perfect statement, like for this little list of shows. It's like, yeah, out of these, there really wouldn't be any number one. You know, they're not very good. So now here's mine, which is the official, you know, the main list that I'm going to talk about each show a little bit, not very much, hopefully not. I mean, yesterday I did a review of this hour and 20-minute movie, and I thought it would be like a 25-minute review, and I spent like 50 minutes talking about that crap, and it was such a bad movie. I was so ashamed of myself for talking so much about it. Okay, so number 11, the worst show of 2025 is The Paper Season 1. So this is supposed to be a sequel to The Office, and the very first thing that they do is they have this horrible, ugly, dull color grading, this modern color grading. So they've ruined that. Number 2, they started off this show by showing you the old Dunder Mifflin office and showing you that it has now closed down and been replaced with another business. And I think that is like a giant slap in the face to the fans, because it's a statement that, like, yeah, we're never going to go back here and make like any revival or sequel, like even a movie. We're done with Dunder Mifflin. And to that, I will say, hey, guys who made The Office and you made The Paper, I'm done with you. Go fuck yourself, okay? Nobody wanted to watch this crap, this crappy, lame, boring, bland show where they make jokes about the Me Too movement. I mean, what fucking cringe. And that's all I have to say. I only watched one episode. I couldn't stand it. At least I got a good amount of views on that video, though. It's so funny because I can never predict what videos are going to get however many amount of views. You know, like I'm so that it's like you're gambling. It's like, oh, okay, I'll go play this game and play that game, and who knows if I'll win. So number 10 is Goosebumps Season 2. Now, I will say, I do think that they improved off of Season 1. It seemed like they took some notes from the criticism, and one in particular, which I appreciated, was in the first season, I mean, it was just, it was like bottom of the barrel. It's probably the second worst show I've ever seen in history. And one of the reasons was because they had all these haunted items, like a camera and a mask, and there was no reason for them to be haunted. It was just that they were haunted by magic, like just not even by magic, but just by happenstance. And, you know, in the books, they all had specific reasons for being that way, and it would have been very easy to show them. Well, in Season 2, at least they take the time to say, like, yeah, all this stuff happens because of this black alien goo. And I will say that, you know, there are moments of good quality in this bad show, Goosebumps Season 2. Like, I think that a highlight was the episode The Boy Who Cried Monster. I thought that was a fantastic idea. It was a great twist on The Girl Who Cried Monster mixed with Stay Out of the Basement. And that episode is literally the best thing about the whole series, the whole shitty series. But other than that, you know, that season was a disaster, and it got worse and worse. And it's really sad because in the finale, for some reason, they actually took an idea that I pitched on a separate video and they used it, but they used it and they ruined it. They ruined it and they turned it into something else. And it's really sad because if they had just stuck to my idea that they stole from my fan pitch video, it would have actually been a good finale. And I would have said, wow, they really did a good job because they took from a better writer than them. And so, but overall, Goosebumps Season 2, it was a disaster. It was not good at adapting the books. And, you know, even though I understand you can make changes when you adapt things, even if you take all of that away, even if you just turn off and say, okay, I'm just watching a show, there are a huge amount of problems with Goosebumps Season 2. A lot of plot holes, a lot of, like, weird things. There's agendas in the season, of course. Like, in the first season, they had one checkbox, and in the second season, they had another checkbox. And the show's also... Season 2 is also kind of racist because they have this... I'm not kidding you guys. They have, like, 2 Hispanic girls, and one of them, she's a thief. I'm not even kidding. Like, that is the most racist shit I've ever seen in 2025 on TV. Like, that was so hilarious. Like, her whole story is she steals something, and that's literally her entire episode. And they ruined all these other stories. Like, they ruined Monster Blood. They ruined Welcome to Camp Nightmare. They ruined the Girl Next Door. I think that, they really should just make their own show and not call it Goosebumps. And then people would be a lot more forgiving, but still it would be pretty trash. It's just a lot of soap opera junk. Number 9 is Alien Earth Season 1. Oh boy. I started watching this season, quite frankly, because never mind, I don't want to say why. I don't want to say why. I started watching this season for reasons that didn't have anything to do with the story. And I quickly found out that I was in for probably one of the worst TV shows that I've ever seen in my entire life. This show is such a big shit stain on the Alien movies and the Alien franchise. It is just abysmal. It is just an abysmal shitstorm of bullshit and fucking trash. These characters, it's basically a show that's all about a group of Disney adults on an island, and they're with this corporation, and it's about, like, battling corporations and shit, and you have these Disney adults, and it's so bad, and the worst part is that nothing happens. Like, you keep on waiting for something to happen. You keep on waiting for the show to be exciting. And it continually just... It kind of just teases you. It leaves these little breadcrumbs. And it never gives you anything cool. And by the end of the season, the main character, Wendy, she is definitively a Mary Sue. And she is now controlling aliens. And she can... talk to them all the fucking time. That's all they show now, is like she's talking to the aliens, and she can, teach them and tell them what to do. And then in the finale, basically nothing happens, and it's just like a big cliffhanger. And for some reason, this terrible show got a season 2. Awful show, and what's worse is I'm gonna have to review it and suffer through it. Number 8 is Hell's Kitchen Season 23. I really can't remember this at all, so I'll just say, yeah, it was Hell's Kitchen, whatever. Number 7 is Daredevil Born Again Season 1. excuse me, that represents my feelings about this show. To be honest, this show is embarrassing. It is an embarrassment because it was so easy. Like, all us fans asked for was for a Daredevil show, for us to get more of the thing that we loved on Netflix that was made by different people who are a lot more talented. And instead, first there was a team, and they wanted to make this weird show where Foggy dies, which I don't know why he had to die. That was totally trash. They need to bring him back to life, or else the show is definitely at the bottom of the list of any Daredevil anything. But then Daredevil has a new girlfriend. He has a new life, basically, as this lawyer, and they're focusing a lot more on that and on him being a lawyer. And in which I did appreciate elements that the original team, that they had in mind. I think that they had a lot of interesting ideas, and it's just sad that, I guess they made a terrible season, because then Disney had to bring in this new team of people who somehow they suck just as bad as the original team. And they had to reshoot all this stuff throughout the season and try to improve it and actually make it good. And the result is this choppy, messy, frustrating collage of ideas that don't really combine well together. It's a very strange assortment of different ideas. And yeah, I will say there are some things that I liked about season 1. Number 1, Heather, the new girlfriend, she's really hot. She's like a 10 out of 10. That is literally, like, I swear to God, guys, like, this is part of my criteria when I review things, because I'm a guy. Like, if a girl was reviewing things, part of her criteria, whether she's going to admit it to you or not, is if there's a hot guy in the show or movie too. That's just reality. And so that's why it is good to make movies and shows with attractive characters, because that's a part of, appealing to the audience. But Heather is hot. She is really, really hot. And she's really hot. I mean, she is so hot, like, and like, I don't care, like, if I was blind, I would still find her to be a 10 out of 10. So anyways, that's my monologue. And now I'm going to go hide in the closet, because that was kind of embarrassing. And then also, I will say, there was a fight between Daredevil and this character named the Muse, and it was actually a fantastic fight. It reminded me a lot of Spider-Man 3, where Spider-Man fights the Sandman in the train station, I believe it was. It was really, really good. And then, I appreciated seeing a lot of the lawyer stuff. And I felt like there was a lot more there than people really that gave it credit for. And then the new team came in, and the stuff that they added, it was a lot of, like, flashy stuff. It's like, okay, like, here's more action scenes, here's Daredevil and Karen, here's more of the Punisher. And the finale was created entirely by the new team. And the finale for this season was a huge mess. And it's a shame, because, initially, everyone kind of thought, like, this show is bad because the original team ruined it, and the new team, they did the best they could. Kind of like with Justice League, where Joss Whedon, he came in and did the best that he could with the with that trash movie that he was given. If you could even call it a movie. But no, the new team sucks too, because season 2 is horrible. I mean, I hate it. I hate it so bad. If I could just give like a giant thumbs down, like just like conjure up like a huge skyscraper with like a thumbs down emoji, that's what I would do right now. And I would say, there you go, guys. Like, this is what I think of your show. And I know that sounds mean, but like, I really just don't understand like why we couldn't have just gotten more of what we wanted from Netflix. Like, there were people who made that show that, knew what they were doing. And for some reason, Disney thought that they could do better. And as usual, they they just continue to fail miserably. Number 6 is MasterChef, whatever, who cares. Number 5 is King of the Hill, Season 14. This is the revival, and I actually thought they did a pretty good job here at reviving the show. I was really happy and kind of comforted to see these characters again. And it was really satisfying to see Bobby all grown up and to see that he's become like a successful restaurant owner. That's really, really cool. It's so cool. But I will say, I think that the show needs more episodes because they had all these great ideas, and there were like 2 ideas per episode, and the ideas were not given enough time to breathe. And so what you were left with is like, okay, half a good episode and half a good episode that are like both like about different things. And I wish that they just got like double the amount of episodes, and then I would have said that this was better. I will also say I didn't like some of the choices they made, like they broke up Con and Min. I didn't like that at all. And I didn't like how they started off the season with Connie and how she's like, I can't remember, was she like E&M or polynamorous or whatever the fuck that made up bullshit is? But they made fun of it at the very least, but I still didn't like that. I thought that was very out of character. But I also really liked some of the new characters that they added. Like, I really liked Bobby's girlfriend, Willow. I thought that she was a really cool character, and but we hardly got to see her at all. But overall, I actually enjoyed this. I thought that it was a decent revival. It just needs more episodes because, there's no room to breathe here in TV land. Number 4 is Wednesday Season 2. And this season started off pretty terribly. And in fact, I really hate to talk about anything with Jenna Overrated Ortega in it anymore after what she's done recently. And I don't want to talk about it on this video because that's not what this video is about. But let's just say, hashtag Nazi Jenna. Okay, so back to the show. This season started off horribly because, again, they're just cramming like 30 characters and 30 different storylines into these episodes. And so the first 4 episodes are terrible because there's some good things here and there, but there's just too much going on to the point of where it's like nauseating and it's dizzying and it's just not enjoyable and it's not good storytelling. And then in the second half, they kind of fix that because they realize that like, we only have 4 episodes left because we're a modern TV show. And so they killed off like half the cast. And that made it better because then we could focus more on the core characters who matter in the season. And so then actually the season got a lot better in the second half. There were some really cool things. Like, I really loved the villain of the season, spoiler alert, he is the body who the Thing came from. Who Thing came from. So that was really, really cool. That was a great idea. And what was really cool about that story was that at the beginning of the season, he's a zombie, and over the course of the season, he gradually turns into a human. And I thought that was such a genius, gothic, and just great horror idea. And he's going around eating brains and killing people, and it's really, really cool. And then on top of that, you have some other cool stuff, but really, I just look back at this season and I go, you know what, like that wasn't very memorable, and I would not watch it again, definitely. Like, it's just, I want to watch a show that actually feels like it's properly made and properly told. Like, I want to watch a show that goes on for as long as it needs to go on to tell the story that it needs to tell. I don't want to watch this crappy, rushed collage of ideas and characters, no matter if I like things in it or not. Okay, so number 3 is Cobra Kai Season 6. You know what? The first 2 parts of the season were bad. Both of them, they were very messy and sloppy and kind of melodramatic and silly. And the third part saved this entire season because for some reason they split this up into 3 parts, which is the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Just release an episode a week like a normal TV show. That's fine. But the third part of this season was pretty phenomenal. I mean, they really did a great job at concluding things, pretty much. There were some things I didn't like, but that's always going to be the case, I think, sometimes, with these shows and movies. But overall, they really, really did a good job at bringing things full circle. In particular, something that was really bothering me about the show in the later years was that it felt like there was this attitude about Cobra Kai that, like, oh, well, that's not the good way to fight, and you shouldn't be aggressive when you're fighting, and you should only do Miyagi-Do or whatever. And well, excuse me, in the final season, they take things full circle, and they have this realization that Johnny has where it's like, no, there are people who are meant to fight aggressively and not fight in the Miyagi-Do way. And everything is all about balance, but like, it is perfectly okay to be Cobra Kai and to specialize in Cobra Kai. And so when Johnny comes back as Cobra Kai in the tournament, and he's got his 2 original Cobra Kai contenders, I mean, that was so amazing. It was so satisfying. Funnily enough, though, it was satisfying because that's what it was in the early seasons. Like, so basically, the final season of Cobra Kai got good because it went back to what made the first 2 seasons good, instead of when it went off the rails in seasons 3 through 5. It didn't necessarily go off the rails, but it just became different. And, the show was better in seasons 1 and 2. And season 6 really did a good job at going back to that kind of thing. And let's see, what else did I loved Kreese. I thought that I was really surprised at how much better he was than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be the main villain, and I thought that for some reason, like, it was going to be really dark. And because in the season 5 finale, he turns into like a slasher villain, and so I didn't know what they were going to do, and I thought it's going to get really dark. It's going to be like horror or something, but instead it actually, I would say that Kreese is like the second best thing about the season. And I would also say that in general, I felt like because this season had more episodes, they were able to wrap things up a lot better. They were able to tell a bigger, more epic story. Even though it was messy, I think that I look back and overall, I see the vision. And I see a very, very imperfect but entertaining final season of a show that I think was a great show. And even though it could have been better, I think that I'll always look back at Cobra Kai, as like a great show, So really, really glad that they did a good job with the last season. Now, number 2 is Dexter Resurrection Season 1, which is really interesting because I had never seen anything Dexter until I saw this show. So I was really the perfect person to watch it, because when you make these new shows, especially for these streaming services, you have to make them not only for fans, but for people who haven't seen anything Dexter related or anything related to whatever show is coming out, because that's the way that you get new subscribers, and that's the way you get new fans. Well, guess what? You got a new fan. Now, I still need to go back and rewatch the Dexter series, which I'll figure out when I do that in a little while. I'm doing a bunch of other crap right now, and I really don't have time for that right now. But this Dexter Resurrection season, it was pretty amazing. I think that it was a great, great, great show. It was so fun to see Dexter going around basically being like a vigilante hero and killing these serial killers and joining this cult, I guess you would call it, or club of serial killers. And they had this really fun cast of characters. I do think that it was rushed. I think that it should have been longer. I think that was one of the issues. But this was quality TV. I mean, they released one episode a week, and what do you know? It was great to do it that way because us fans talked about it every single week and got excited for another episode every single week. One of the coolest things about this season, which is a spoiler, is that the whole season, there is this guy who has never killed anyone before. He is the leader of this serial killer club, and none of us, I think, realized it, but the whole season was basically one long origin story for him to finally become a serial killer himself. And so in the second to last episode, he actually crosses over and he kills someone for the first time who is also a legacy character, and that was really, really good and dark. And I thought that was genius that, like, this whole season was simultaneously, like, about killing all these killers, but it was also about creating a new killer. And what's really sad is that, that killer was quickly gotten rid of in the next episode. So, it's like, oh, well, wow, you created this killer, and now he's dead in the next episode. I mean, Dexter himself, too, he has, like, a level of plot armor, or an amount of plot armor, the likes of which I've never seen before on a character. And I kind of like that, because I love the fact that I don't have to worry about the show doing something stupid, like with Better Call Saul, with what they did in the last seasons. I love the fact that it feels like they like their main character, and like he gets to do the cool stuff. He doesn't have to work on a team. He can take out bad guys by himself. One of the few things that I didn't like, though, one of the things is that he didn't have a love interest this season. And I thought that was kind of weak. Apparently he's supposed to have one, and he didn't. And there was clearly like two characters, and both of them easily could have been a love interest, and both of them were not. And I thought that was some modern agenda bullshit. And secondly, I really didn't like Harrison. Harrison is Dexter's son, and he is the biggest beta male pussy simp in television history. He always has this whiny crybaby face, and the whole season he's with this girl. He sleeps over at her place sometimes. He takes care of her child. And they're both pretty much, I mean, I know in real life they're both like adults, they're both around the same age. But for some reason on the show, they make it to where this bitch friend zones him, even though he's like a glorified father figure for her son and everything. And there's other stuff that he does. And it's so cringeworthy watching that whole story, because it's like all you guys had to do was just have them get together, and then he takes care of the son, and it's like, oh, okay, this is just, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, you would get the same thing if you went on Tinder, and then, but the worst part is that after that, they replace this beautiful love interest, who I also thought she was like a 9 or 10 out of 10. And personality included, by the way. I'm not just rating off of looks, although, I mean, it is pretty easy to do that now, too. But instead of doing that, he gets with this awful Gen Z, like, stereotype character, and she is just the most, like, annoying, obnoxious, like, mophead I've ever seen. And in the last episode of this season, the last scene of these characters, and I'll never forget this, it's so bizarre. These characters, this is a young couple, and they're sitting around in their place, and they're eating a bowl of beans together. I mean, what the fuck was that? Why are they eating beans? Like, it's like, is this Blazing Saddles? Like, is this a Blazing Saddles satire? Like, why are these two characters, a guy and a girl, they're together romantically, why are they sitting around eating beans? Like, what? I don't know why you would do that. It is the biggest mystery of all time. Why did they give them beans? They could have given them soup. They could have given them cereal. They could have given them a fucking salad or macaroni and cheese. I mean, hashtag Kraft mac and cheese for the win. Annie's mac and cheese, they sold out, and now there's a bunch of shit in their mac and cheese, so fuck them. At least Kraft mac and cheese has original recipe flavor in that bitch. But no, they gave these characters beans. They're sitting around eating beans. They're not, they're not even eating they're not even eating Beanie Weenie. They're just eating beans. Why? Why? I swear to God, I want to know the answer, because it's like, what the hell? I mean, I don't, who made that decision? Was that in the script? In the script it says, pull in on Harrison and Mophead. They're eating beans. Like, who the hell came up with that? But overall, I know that this is about Dexter. Overall, Dexter has been resurrected, and, that was a fantastic season. I think that the only improvement that I would have made is get rid of the mop head and have Harrison hook up with the single mom, because she needs a father figure in her life, obviously. So she needs Harrison. He needs her, and then also I would have given them like double the amount of episodes, because it was rushed. Even though they had 10 episodes, it was rushed. But I am really, really excited for season 2. Number 1 is Welcome to Derry, season 1. Which, by the way, I haven't even finished yet. That's why it took so long to make this video, is because I wanted to finish all the shows. I only have 1 episode left, but there's no doubt in my mind that this is the greatest TV show of 2025. Even better than all the ones that I didn't watch last year. I think that this is easily, this show was so masterfully done. It is better than any movie that came out last year. I had a lot of doubts about the season. I was also kind of upset that it came out right when I put out County Fear, my short film, which is also like a carnival horror movie, which also, there were a lot of weird coincidences between that and then this show. I don't want to give too much away because it would be a spoiler. Well, actually, no, I don't want to give anything away, because I want you guys, if you're watching, please go see my short film. It is on Patreon for a very reasonable small price, and please check it out if you get the chance. But Welcome to Derry was so unexpectedly incredible. The characters were incredible. Like, the kids, they have like this initial cast of kids, and it's like, they're pretty good. And then basically all of them get killed. And then you have a new cast of kid characters who you never expected. And they are awesome characters. Even though they're kid actors, they are really, really good. And there's just so much story here. And it feels like there was so much care and craft put into the show and put into telling these stories. Almost every single episode, they add in new characters, or they add in these flashbacks, and just that it's so layered, and it's so epic, and it is so much bigger than all these other things that come out, even though it was only 8 episodes, but each episode was like an hour long. And that's another thing, is like, after every episode that I watched this season, it felt like I needed to take like a week-long or like a month-long break, because the show is so rich. Another thing that I liked was that they really, they only used Pennywise it a little bit here and there. They didn't overdo it with just having, the scary clown, which I did the same thing in my short film. I shouldn't have said that, but I did the same thing where, like, you don't want to overdo it, and they didn't. They did a great job with that. It's a very dark show. There's a lot of good emotion in there. And I really think that this might be the greatest Stephen King project ever. Ever. I have no idea how the show was as good as it was, and I'm so ashamed that this is the one show that we didn't review last year, because I would have been so happy to review that week by week and talk about every single episode. I think that my favorite part of the whole season was when the girl with the glasses, for some reason, I can't remember her name. There's a lot of characters on the show, by the way, a lot of characters. She was my favorite one, or I guess I still have one more episode, but she was my favorite one. I thought she was a really good character. Apparently, she is also Richie's mother, and I think she was awesome. She is really, really awesome. And she's better than the main character, who, I'm not really a huge fan of the main character. I think that she needed improvement. But so this girl with the glasses, she ends up having this hallucination where her eyes have, like, parasites in them, so her eyes are, like, bulging out, and, like, she's trying to, like, get rid of them and, like, cut her eyes, and so she goes into this classroom and she mutilates her eye, and just it is so dark and gruesome, and that scene, that whole sequence was just it was perfect. I mean, like, this show, I don't know. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how the fuck they did it. Because this is better than any of the It movies that came out. This is the best Stephen King anything, I think. It is the best thing because it is basically like a movie, but it's an 8-hour long movie. It is not a TV show. And since it is an 8-hour long movie, they have all this time to tell story. So overall, I love Welcome to Derry. I'm so excited for season 2, and I don't know. I'm just so happy with the show. I really think that they couldn't have done better than this. Now, the one note that I will give, well, actually 2 notes. I did not like one character, and that was the wife of Mr. Hanlon, or Major Hanlon. I did not like his wife at all. She is like a feminazi actress, and her character was basically just there to judge 1950s society, and that's something that you see in a lot of projects about the 1950s, is you see this judgment and this kind of like this weird like criticism of like, oh, the 50s were so bad because, there were nuclear families and there was a mother and a father and children. That was so bad, That's basically the big criticism. And then, of course, racism as well. But, like, the other one, and so I really didn't like that. I didn't like her character at all. And I felt like that was the whole purpose of her character. And, she really seemed like a tryhard. It seemed like she thought so much more of herself in the role than what she actually was. And the other note that I would give, which I would give this show, if I had to give it like a letter grade, I'd give it an A+++. It is the best thing I watched all of last year. It was so good that it's in the Hall of Fame. But they have way too many instances where there is just a CGI character who runs at the screen. Way too many instances where it's like, oh no, and it's just like a character going and running at the screen. But other than that, again, I would highly recommend this show. It's so inspiring to watch too, because there's a lot of stuff in it that I think about, and it aligns with Goosebumps, and it aligns with County Fear, because I want to turn that into a feature. And so it was really good to watch this show, actually, because it was very inspiring too. So overall, that is my list, my ranking of the TV shows of 2025. And I would just recommend, please check out Dexter Resurrection and Welcome to Derry, because you will not be disappointed. And yeah, so anyways, please like, comment, and subscribe. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, I have a Patreon page. Please head on over and check that out, because there is tons of bonus content, exclusive content, rankings, exclusive reviews, and my short film. You will not regret it. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.